Okay. Do you see my screen?
Yes, miss.
You see my screen?
Yes, miss.
Okay, so I'll be showing to you 3 different Doreen's chart. Doreen's chart allows you to determine the boiling point of this solution based on the saturation temperature of that same solution and the amount of solids that it contains. So the saturation temperature is the horizontal axis value that you are using here. So you see boiling point of water, meaning if it's just pure water, it's going to boil at 100 degrees Celsius if it does not have any solid content. Now, if it is having solid content, that particular solid content are these lines you are seeing here. So you have 0%, 5%, 10%, 20, 25, and this one is already the saturated line. So for example, if your solution does not contain water at the indicated pressure, its saturation boiling temperature is 90 as an example. Now, and it has a solid content, for example, of 20%, what you do from the 90 that you have here, you go up until you reach the 20% line. And this is this line. And then you go left and read the corresponding boiling point of the solution. If you notice, class, wait, somebody wants to, okay. If you notice, I have here a 90 degrees Celsius saturation temperature, and I will end up here on a 20% solid solution. If I will read here on the left side, its boiling point is higher than 90. Somewhere around 94. That tells you that the presence of the solids in the solution increases its boiling point temperature. Because if it has been only pure water, it's going to boil at 90 degrees Celsius, for example, for a given operating temperature. But since it has the solid, it will boil at, let's say, 94 or 95. So how do you determine the boiling point rise or the boiling point elevation? That would simply be the difference of this 94 that you got here and the 90 that you have at saturation. So then the boiling point is said to be elevated by 4 degrees Celsius. That's just how simple it is. You need the saturation temperature. You will get it from the steam tables based on the operating pressure. Based on the operating pressure of your evaporator, and then use that in here in your x-axis. Then together with the solid content, use both in determining the boiling point of the solution. Once you have the boiling point of the solution, get the difference of that with the boiling point of pure water. That would be your boiling point elevation. The one you are seeing here is only exclusive for sodium chloride solution, aqueous solution of sodium chloride. Now, John Kuplis and McCabe has a different Doreen chart, called the Doreen chart, and that particular system is for sodium hydroxide and water. This one is taken from McCabe. I did not anymore get a sample from John Kuplis because it's exactly the same as this one. But take note, this one is for sodium hydroxide. The same thing. You have the boiling point of your pure water here. You have the solid content here. You get to see here the 0, the 0.10, the 0.20, the 0.30. So you end up on that line and project your point there on the left side and then read the boiling point temperature of your solution. The difference between the y and the x value here is your boiling point elevation. Okay, now what is the true boiling point for solutions that have BPE or BPR in the delta T that you will substitute in determining the amount of heat transferred? The T that you will substitute is the boiling point of the solution, not the saturation temperature. You will only substitute the saturation temperature if your solution is very dilute, or if the problem really specifies that there is no boiling point rise or there is no boiling point elevation, or another way could be neglecting BPE or something like that, then you will use for the boiling point of the solution the boiling point of water. But if it's not dilute and the problem says that it's not allowed to neglect the BPE, then you have to consider really the true boiling point of the solution, wherein it has already increased due to the presence of the solids. Now, what about what you have in your handbook? Your handbook is so likable, is so comprehensive because it does not limit it to NaOH or NaCl. Your handbook gives you this particular Durine chart for this particular substances: sucrose, citric acid, craft liquid, glycerol, sodium nitrate, and all of this. You have NaCl here, you have calcium chloride here. So you see there's a lot on here that you are allowed to use this particular chart in determining their boiling point rise. How do you use this chart? So you have an example actually here. I'd like to use this one so it will not be difficult because it has lines already. For example, you have an aqueous solution of calcium chloride that is 22% by mass solids. Okay, 22% by mass solids. So what you do, uh, given that its saturation temperature, meaning if it does not have any solids, it should boil at 270 degrees Fahrenheit. It is already given. If it's not given, then the pressure should be given to you so that you can get the saturation temperature at that pressure. In this case, it's already given. So you try to look for 270 here, solution temperature. So you find the 270. This is 260, this is 280, so this is your 270. Now you try to find on the dots that you have here, referring to these substances, the calcium chloride. So this is your calcium chloride. So you go to that. Connect it to that dot until you reach this other vertical line. Then what you do after you reach this point here, you use the percentage by weight solids of calcium chloride. So you look for the 22. So this is weight percent solids. So this is 20, this is 25. So somewhere here is 22. So you put your point here, and then this point should be connected to that point, then extended until you reach this other vertical line. Now, what is the difference between this particular reading here and the one that you saw previously? This one and this one. Okay, what you have in your handbook is already the boiling point rise. So for a 22% calcium chloride solution having a boiling point of 270 degree Fahrenheit, that's the boiling point rise is around, this is 8, this is 9, around 9.7. 9.7 degrees Fahrenheit. Meaning, your solution now will not boil at 260 degrees Fahrenheit when it has 22% solids, but rather it will boil at 279.7. So you need to add the 9.7 BPR here, which you read out, to the saturation temperature which you started off with. So what you're reading here is boiling point rise, not boiling point of the solution. So for you to know the boiling point, or for you to know the elevated boiling point of your solution, you need to add this value here to the saturation temperature. That would be now the boiling point of your solution. You can use this particular part here for your weight percent solids, or you can also use this part, whichever you are comfortable in using. So in here, you have a, in this case, where did it started off? This one is different because this one is already lithium chloride, this one. You can also use this weight percent solids and then get the corresponding boiling point rise in here. Okay, you have the calibration in this side for solution, and this side the boiling point rise. You also have boiling point rise in here, and you have weight percent solids here and weight percent solids in here. Okay, that's how you use the rings chart in your handbook. This is the exact thing which I simply magnified in here, copied for you to see. So you will use these charts in solving problems that require for you to consider the boiling point rise of the solution. Now, I'd like to go to a different chart so that later on you will simply have to get the values from the chart. What chart do you have here? This is the chart that I'm referring to as the concentration enthalpy chart. However, class, you only have one chart for this, unless otherwise, let's say in the board exam, they will be giving you one special chart for a particular system that is different than NaOH. Now, what do you have in here? So in the horizontal axis, you see the weight fraction sodium hydroxide. So it's given. Weight fraction of sodium hydroxide in the feed is, say, is 20%. And the feed, let's say, is 10 degrees Celsius. So it's 10 degrees Celsius. How do you get its enthalpy? You look for that curve on the 10 degrees Celsius and then read the enthalpy. If it's English, you read here. If you want, if it is SI rather, you read here. If it is English, you read on the other side, because your unit here is English. In here you have SI. You get it? So you use the percentage of the solid.
Miss, excuse me, Miss.
Yes.
Ay, Miss, ang kakakita mo, Miss, ang ano lang, Miss Japon, Miss, ang sa Paris.
Ay, sorry. Maano, kaliwat. Na-stop share ko lain naman. Okay, thank you. Wait. I'll share again.
Well, Miss, thank you man,
Hindi
Miss.
pwede ka transfer lang. Anyway, okay. Now you see? Do you see a different chart?
Yes, Miss. Miss.
Okay.
Ay, na, Miss.
So, rewind.
Thank you, Miss.
So you have here the concentration, weight fraction of NaOH. So this is only for NaOH. So if it's a different system, they should be providing you with this. We don't have a table for the enthalpies of solutions, aqueous solutions with solids. So we only have this particular figure. So now, let's say for example, what am I saying? If you have 20% weight fraction NaOH in a 10 degrees Celsius solution, whether it's feed or whether it's thickened liquor. So you just go up and find that particular curve for the 10 degrees Celsius. You end there and then you read here the corresponding enthalpy. That's just how easy it is. If you're given in the problem are all English units, and let's say for example for a 20% weight fraction NaOH, the temperature is 100 degree Fahrenheit, so you look for that curve. That would be this curve, and then you read here on the left side. This one is English and this one is SI. You use this because you will be using this really when you do energy balance. This is where you get the enthalpy values of your aqueous solution of NaOH given its percentage by weight solid present. That's it. Okay, so I'll go to my problem. Stop share again. Share again. I go to that problem. Okay. We are now on problem number 1. Problem number 1. A single effect evaporator having to concentrate 9,072 kg per hour of a 1% by weight salt solution entering at 311 Kelvin. Before I go any further, I'd like you to notice that the weight percent of the salt in the original feed is only 1%. And as such, it's okay actually, even if the problem does not say it, it's okay to neglect BPR, or we say boiling point elevation or boiling point rise is negligible because your solution is actually dilute already. When can we say that your solution is dilute? When its percentage composition by weight is less than 10%. It's already dilute. So you are allowed to assume that there is no PPR for that. So in this first statement, you have the amount of the feed, and you have its temperature, and you have its XF. This is its weight fraction. We go to the second statement. The vapor space of the evaporator is operating at this pressure. Take note. So you're already given the operating pressure of your evaporator. As to the steam, it is saturated at this pressure. So operating pressure of the column, evaporator, and operating pressure, no, not operating pressure, but rather the pressure of your steam. The overall coefficient U is given with a value of 1,704 watt per square meter Kelvin. Now you are to calculate the amount of vapor and liquid product and the heat transfer area required. Assuming that your solution is dilute, actually, this statement can be already, shall I say, a redundancy to the first statement, because you don't need to assume it's already dilute in that sense. So assuming that the solution is dilute, it has the same boiling point as water, meaning your solution is already dilute, its behavior is comparable to that of water. So as such, we will conclude that its boiling point is very near to that of water. Now, the mother liquor has 1.5% salt. Okay, the mother liquor has 1.5% salt. So this 1.5% salt is the percentage by weight of the salt, which is not specified in your thickened liquor. 1.5. From 1%, himuon siya 1.5. The capacity of the feed is given to be 4.14 kilojoule per kilogram Kelvin. So this is your problem. You are to determine the vapor, the liquid L, and the heat transfer area A. So in starting off with this problem, you need to place in the important information. So before in my class, I will let them do their own thing here. They are the one to supply the information that are made available here. In your case, you can do that. So identify what's the value of the feed based on the given, the temperature is given, the XF is given. For the steam, what is given, I think, is pressure. So you don't have this. Okay, for the vapor, you don't have initially T sub 1, but you can determine it. There's no entrainment mentioned, so this would be 0. For the condensate, it would be the same amount as your steam, the same pressure as your steam, only a different enthalpy, because this one is liquid, this one is vapor. For your concentrated liquor, based on our problem, what is given is its XL. So no enthalpy yet. And the T sub 1 would be the same T sub 1 here and T sub 1 here based on the pressure, which is just, I think, atmospheric pressure, 101.325 kilopascal. So that's your given. So if you have placed in there everything, then you're good to go for the next requirement. Okay? We will go to the solution because I have already enumerated the unknowns. You have the V, the L, and the area. So very simple in terms of material balance as to the procedure in finding the L and V. So you get the overall material balance. Both L and V are unknown. So this is your equation 1. If you do solid balance, you just substitute. So substitute the percentage by weight mass of your solids for the liquor and the feed. And then you will get the liquor. Then you go back to the first, you will get the vapor. So that's already it. Most of the time, these two are known based on only, are determined rather based only on material balance. It's normally the S and the Q that requires for you to determine or to make energy balance. So we will do that. Now, since the property of the solution is comparable to that of water, then we will say that at normal atmospheric pressure, your water will boil at 100 degrees Celsius. In Kelvin, that would be 373.15. Now, this problem, class, I will really emphasize this. This problem solution is only applicable to the scenario similar to this kind. So the scenario is you don't have any boiling point rise. and that the behavior of your solution is comparable to that of pure water. That's the scenario, okay? So the solution that you're seeing here is not applicable for those that have boiling point rise. Now, why am I trying to emphasize this? Because if you go back to your energy balance, before I explain any further, the energy balance equation, it will need the enthalpy of the feed, the enthalpy of the liquid, and the enthalpy of the vapor. Saturated liquid and saturated vapor enthalpies based on the operating pressure or based on the saturation temperature of the solution inside the evaporator. I'm referring to these two. Okay? So this is your equation. As for steam, then it has its own either pressure or temperature where you can get the lambda or determine the lambda of. So ang concern is this, the HL and the HV. So I'd like to go back to our problem. Now, we will find the solution's latent heat HV from the steam tables, and the value of which is 2,257. Take note. And it's not HV only, but rather in this problem, it's, I want a different color, it's latent heat. What does that mean? It's, when we speak of latent heat, it's already considering both the saturated vapor enthalpy and the saturated liquid enthalpy. You may wonder, why is that? It's supposed to be only saturated vapor enthalpy. Allow me to continue so that you will get to see later on that we are allowed to do that in this case. So just let's say your HV will be not just the saturated vapor enthalpy, but rather the latent heat of your solution, which is 2,257. It's based on this particular temperature of your water. As for steam, there's no worry about this because it stands alone. It's not anymore interfering with the values that we are getting for our solution. It has its own pressure to be used as a basis in determining its lambda. So that's for the steam. So we will check that for the steam, and we will check one for our HV, which is not just Hg in your thermo, but rather HV, the solution's latent heat. So I have already the enthalpies of this and the lambda for the steam. Then I need to determine that of the feed. Take note. If you remember the formula I've shown to you a while ago, the enthalpy is computed based on the specific heat, the temperature of that particular stream, whether it's feed or whether it's liquor, and some base temperature. And I said the base temperature class is 0 if it's 0 degrees Celsius, and it is 32 if it's degrees Fahrenheit, depending on the units that are provided in the problem. What have you noticed about this? We're not using 0, right? Because as you can see here, the temperature that is being subtracted is actually the saturation temperature based on the operating pressure of your column, right? So that explains this one. Since you are not using only the saturated vapor enthalpy, but you are using the latent heat of your solution based on this temperature, you will not use the 0 degree here, because if this is 0 degrees Celsius, this should have been 273. But you will be using here the saturation temperature of your solution inside the evaporator. Or that is, you will base this one on the operating pressure of your evaporator, resulting to, take note, a negative enthalpy for the feed. If you will think, how can it be that its energy content is negative? It is negative because we solve it differently here. We use the solution's latent heat, not just its saturated vapor enthalpy. Okay, so we use this, and this is it. Now you have the enthalpy of the feed. You have the lambda of the steam. So this is the enthalpy of the feed, the lambda of the steam, and this is the solution's latent heat of vaporization. What's so peculiar about this equation if this one is for the feed, this one is for steam, this one is for liquor, and this one is for V? What have you noticed? Have you noticed? Aren't you wondering why this is 0? This is 0. You are to make this 0 because of the two reasons you did here. Number one, it's because you use the boiling point temperature of your solution in determining the enthalpy of the feed. And because the primary reason is you are using the latent heat of vaporization of your solution. In the original formula class, this should have been HL. This should have been the saturated liquid enthalpy, and this should have been only Hg for the vapor. But since you made this the latent heat of the solution, this should be 0, and this should not be 0, but this should be the boiling point of your solution at saturation. Now, here's what will happen if we will use HL here and we will use Hg here. And in determining the enthalpy of the solution, we will use the 0 degrees Celsius. You can do that. You can do that. But for dilute solution, again, that is why I emphasize for dilute solution to simplify your calculation so that you can make the 0, then get the latent heat of vaporization of your solution and substitute it for the Hg. And instead of using the base temperature here, use the boiling point of the solution temperature inside your evaporator. This is a totally unique solution only for this case wherein you don't have BPR. If you have BPR, you are not allowed to use this procedure anymore. This is only for dilute solution. Since I have only 10 minutes left, so let's see. Now, I'll go to the second problem. By the way, sorry, wala pa class. Sorry. So now we have determined the S. So you have determined the S. You can now get the Q, which is S lambda. So you just substitute, this is your value, but your unit is kilojoule per hour. You have to make it watt so that it will agree with the unit of your overall heat transfer coefficient U. So converting it to watt, I think you know more fully well your conversion of units. Then you are to equate this value for the Q, for this one, with the goal of determining the area in square meters. So this is your area now for your evaporator. You have answered the area, you've answered the V, and you have answered the L. Hi? Now, do you have any question before I go to the second problem? It's very short actually. No question? Okay. So what you will... None. Okay. So what you'll do actually is this. Later on, you have your dry lab. You will work on this. Okay? You will work on this as group. You have grouped yourselves already. You have your members. You will work on this and submit it tonight because that's your lab. This is your requirement for your dry lab. It's equivalent to what we have done in the first problem. So you will do it later. Now, for the second problem, it will be determining the BPR for NaOH, which is, I think, will only be done in 5 minutes. 5 minutes, will be done with this. So the pressure in your evaporator is given. It's 25.6 kilopascal. And you are given a solution of 25% NaOH. Now, you are to determine the BPR of the solution over that of water at the same pressure. So a simple question of determining the BPR for a solution that is not anymore dilute because its concentration is 25% NaOH. and your evaporator is at this pressure. If I'm going to ask you, what will you use here to find the BPR? Of course, you will use this one because it's needed in the ring chart, the X, the percentage by mass. Then what is it that you still need to determine so that you can use it together with this X to get the BPR? You need the what? If you recall the illustration, you will be needing the percentage of the solid and the saturation temperature. The saturation temperature based on the operating pressure of your column. So in this case, I don't have the ready-made solution of this. You will have to get, based on this pressure, the T sub S. Where will you get it? From the steam tables. So you should have your steam tables. So either you use the steam tables at the appendices at the back of your books, or you use the steam table from your handbook. You need this T sub S. You need this T sub S together with this X, this one. That's your X. So that you can go back to the chart that I have shown you a while ago and get the BPR. You cannot get the BPR from the chart, but what you will be getting in the chart is the boiling point of the solution. The solution boiling point, that would be T, and you will subtract that from the T sub S to get the BPR. So what you'll be getting is T from that diagram or that particular graph, and then subtract the T sub S, which you took or you based from the pressure, and then that's it. You have already the BPR. Okay? I think it's very easy. Get the T sub S based on this pressure. Using the T sub S together with this percentage of solids, which is X, you go to the chart that I have shown to you for NaOH. Read the T. That's the boiling point of the solution. In our illustration, it's T sub 1. You subtract the T sub S from that. That's the primary requirement of the problem, which is the BPR. Do you get it? Third year?
Hello, miss. May question lang ko, miss.
Yes.
I miss question, miss. Ang di ba need to siya, miss, miss, ang concentration of solid, ano tayo, di ba, miss, ng solid, di ba, miss, na concentration ang need sa Paris,
Yes.
bala, miss. Di ba, di na siya magkaon, miss.
Ang solid
Amo na siya ang 25 or hindi?
Amo na siyang 25.
Oo.
Oo.
Miss.
Oo.
Okay.
Hindi mo kwa. O, nari na siya sa problem. Oo. Gamiton mo na ito siya sa chart. Ara na siya sa problem. Oo. So, let's say, for example, okay, this card. Example, I'll go to the chart. I will stop share. Share screen again. Where is that chart? Like this one. Okay. You will look for NaOH. Where is NaOH? NaOH, where are you? Where's NaOH? There. There is your NaOH. What you do, you first need the saturation temperature. You convert it to Fahrenheit if it's in Celsius. So you start from that, then iguon mo ni si NaOH diyo. And then the 25% na ginhatag sa imo, Josh, kadto kada sa 25. Si malapaw siya, Josh, no? So that's that time that you go the other way around. Diri ka maagi. So from the temperature here, saturation temperature of the solution, you go to NaOH, and instead of going there for the 25 kay malapaw, kadiri ka pabalik na 25 para hindi ka maglapaw. Do you get it? Let's say 200.
Yes, thank you.
200, you go here. Then, pangitaon mo ang percentage by weight solid nga 25. Hindi ka diagi kay wala ka na to basahon. Diri ka panaog. Kadto ka de, basta mabunggo di siya nga line. Then you go down there. That's your boiling point rice, whatever you read there. Okay? What is good about this, it's already boiling point rice. If you use this one, pwede man. If you use this one, okay man. So galing mo na, i-convert mo yung gyapon ang temperature. Ang saturation temperature, for example, that you took from the steam tables, example lang ha, is 200. And then, it's 25% solid. You look for the 25% solid. It's not here. It's between 0.3 and 0.2. So imagine that you have a line in between these two that is 0.25. And then read here. That's the boiling point of the solution. The boiling point of the solution minus the boiling point of water, that's your BPR. Do you get it?
Hello, Miss.
Yes.
Good evening. What is Miss kung dako bala Miss ang diferensya sa among estimation bala Miss sa
hindi na magdako ibong hindi na siya magdako bala ano ng sino ni si Marcel. It won't be dako Marcel if you use the handbook kay isa lang na para yun isla tanan kadako. Hindi mo pagpadakoon dito ka sa handbook wa. But okay, I know your next question. Miss, paano? Miss, kay wala kami handbook. Di ma-print lang kami. It will not really vary that much. It will not vary that much. So in this case, ang ano lang ni is, it has to be specified to everybody to have a copy of the handbook. And if you're going to have the particular page printed, hindi nyo pagpa-enlarge, amo lang gina siya dapat kadako para mag-read ka mo sa inyo, pa-photocopy nyo or screenshot nyo, hindi pagpadako amo lang gid na siya. Galing kay kung screenshot, malain ang size. So,